Hello folks, it is Monday and it is time for some more hobby nightmares. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps me out in the algorithm and makes sure that more people can follow and watch along with our vaunted hobby nightmares. And if you really like what I do, the Patreon is down below. If you want to follow that, you can get access to these videos up to 48 hours early. So, let's jump in, shall we, with Luke, who says... Hello North, Luke the Aussie here again to give you another hobby nightmare. First of all, I hope your week is going well, family's doing good, and enjoying whichever beverage you might be enjoying right now. Yeah, I record Mondays over the weekend, so I have a little bit of vodka in a glass with some Pepsi Max and ice at the moment. Very nice, very good. Oh, marvellous. What was it doing? Oh yeah, hobby nightmares. This story will almost follow on from my previous story. In case you forget, as I know you get a lot of stories, mine was about the one as a 12-year-old whose Necron Lord got glued to a table. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh my days. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Luke was at a tournament, had a bit of a man-child playing against him at a 40k tournament, and at the end of the tournament, said man-child had glued his HQ choice to a table. Yeah, not the nicest of people. Bit of a disclosure before I begin, these events happened when I was 13, and in the years after, I have seen and spoken to professional people about this, so this may be a bit of a heavy one to some listeners. It wasn't that bad. I have read through this one before, it wasn't that bad. Right, now on to the story. This nightmare is how I met my best friend in the hobby and how an independent store owner saved me from a pack of bullies. About 3 weeks after school term started for the year, I moved to a new town with my dad and my stepmom. Mostly residential with a shopping centre in the middle of it. I was very excited as well as nervous as I moved again to a new town and new school due to my dad being a Navy officer. This wasn't new, but the feelings were still there. On top of this, I was just about to start high school, but I felt ready to begin this new chapter of my life, little knowing the hell that it was about to become, okay? As I began class, I was introduced by the teacher and given the spare desk and all that good stuff. At lunchtime, some kids were curious about me and others stayed in their groups. This is when I was approached by a group of 3 boys, Connor, Harry, and Jack. Immediately, they teased me about my appearance and tried to gauge my reaction. I refused to fight back or give them the satisfaction of a response beside just, leave me alone. Besides that, my first day was fine. Okay, this kind of reminds me of, prison. So I've never been to, I mean, you know, I've never been to prison myself. But, you know, you always hear, don't you, from like people who've been there where they're like, you know, on the first days, man, people will test you and you've got to like stand up for yourself or they'll just keep testing you. Well, in a weird way, I think high school is the same. The best thing you can do in a new school, if a bully comes up to you and tries to test you, you step up to it and you smack them right on the nose. Right on the nose. Better to get into trouble than have your entire school life ruined by a bunch of idiots. I've said that to kids in the past. You need to do it. You know, it is what it is, right? Like, let it out. Don't let people take the mick out of you. Go up to them and say, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be the butt of every joke. You know, lay into them once or twice. And what I mean by that is, you see what's happened here? Like, this Connor, Harry, and Jack have come up to this young lad and started giving him some grief. First thing he should have done is stand up and shoved one of them to the ground. Literally, shocked them into sense. And if they come after you, fair enough. It's 3-on-1. The teachers will be there in a minute. What are they going to do? They're 13. They're in school, right? Push one of them to the ground. Have a go. Say you won't be pushed around. And they will leave you alone from then on in. Problem solved. You know, I know parents will be all touchy-feely. No, you shouldn't do that. Yes, you should. If you want to nip it in the bud and never be picked on again, ever, in school, that's what you do. That's what you do. Just like prison. It's crazy, really, isn't it? how it works in both ways, but there we go. Or works in both areas. This kind of teasing will persist every day for the next few weeks. Yeah, man, it will do if you don't stand up for yourself. Not sure why they targeted me, as I have literally done nothing to them. Victim, yeah, dude, no, like, again, you're 13, but, you know, you answered your own question. You won't stand up for yourself. So, that's why they're doing it to you. I spoke to the teachers about it, but they didn't do much besides say, oh, don't worry, I'll speak to them. And that got them even more riled up. The first of the big incidents came when I was in the school toilets doing my business, and over the cubicle, they poured bottles of urine on me. I smelt of pee and walked the long walk to the teacher and told them what had happened. To their instruction, I went to the office to go make a report and call my dad, but this never happened, as I was forced to wait outside as I reeked. I went home upset and had a shower. My stepmom asked what happened and I explained, and she said she would tell my dad and they would go to the school. They did, and my dad, being a Navy officer as well as an instructor, had a very no-nonsense approach. Also, being about 130 kilograms of just muscle, being an ex-bodybuilder, he was an intimidating in person. Yeah, dude, like, as a dad, if you're in this situation as a dad, go to the parents. Go to the parents. Knock on their door. And if you get a whiff of attitude from the other father, just say, listen, your kid touches my kid again, I will be around this house to touch you. Right? That happens one more time, I'll be kicking down this door. Like, that's... Don't put up with it. Do not put up with it. Anyway, he gave the principal an earful, but because I didn't directly see who did it, I was just guessing nothing was done about it. From then onwards, I didn't use a public bathroom for years after. This bullying persisted before they started getting physical with me and pushed me against walls and tripped me and all the usual stuff. I still wouldn't retaliate. That's why, dude. I'm struggling to... I don't want to get involved in having a go at a kid. I don't. Because you're a child and you don't know better. But as an adult writing this, if you've still got this victim mindset, and you don't understand why they kept targeting you, even now when you write this, dude, you need... This is going to sound really weird. You need to get into a fight. This is going to sound so weird. But you need to get into a fight. You need to go and pick up a martial art. You need to go and do something. You need to... There is nothing better than doing boxing or martial arts as a recreation. And somebody hits you in the face, and you're like, oh! Oh! Someone just hit me in the face. Whoa! Wait. I'm okay. That didn't really hurt that much. I'm gonna hit him back. Yeah, I'm gonna hit him back. And you hit him back. And you're like, this feels great. And then you come out there on cloud 9, and you're so chill for the rest of the time. Dude, guys like you, who literally lie on the floor and let people... Dude, go get a martial art. Get into a fight. Get a martial art. Let that fight or flight response, you know, get your balls out and go, right, okay, testosterone time, right? It's so good for you, man. Don't live your life like this. Don't live your life lying down. You know? Don't do it. Anyway, I still wouldn't retaliate, and I refuse to stoop to their level. Dude, you're wrong, man. You're wrong. It's not stooping to their level. It's looking out for yourself. I will tell my stepmom of what was happening, as she was home when I was, and my dad didn't get home until late, but she was getting annoyed at me, that all I brought home was upsetting and depressing news and nothing positive. This is where I started shutting up about what was happening, as I didn't want to be a burden on her or my dad, especially after she said to me, and I quote, "Look, Luke, you need to face these on your own. Your dad and I can't fight your battles for you. We have problems of our own, and we don't bring it home with us, so neither should you. Your dad works long and hard, and he's stressed enough as it is. It's not fair on him that you add your problems to his." Since then, I kept quiet and endured. Yeah, she shouldn't be saying that. I agree with you. She shouldn't be saying that. That's a silly thing to say to a child. I did find a local hobby shop in town, though. This was my haven on the weekends. I played 40k there and enjoyed the atmosphere, as I felt more safe there than at home sometimes. The shop owner was a great guy, and his name was Dallas. He played 40k in Magic the Gathering and Warhammer Fantasy. One day I was riding home after school on my bike and the trio of bullies were on their bikes. They all had thick sticks and rode past me and started swinging. I rode my little heart out trying to get home as they chased me. I realised I was riding home and I didn't want them to know where I lived, so I changed direction and headed into town. Still on the chase, but I was faster. I rode past red lights doing every manoeuvre I could until I reached the store. I knew Dallas had a no bike in the shop rule, so I parked it and ran inside. He said hello, but immediately realised something was wrong and asked me what was up. I explained and he went outside, picking up my bike and brought it inside to keep it safe as well. The bullies realised where I was and parked their bikes and stormed into the shop. Dallas kept me behind the counter and walked up to them with his cricket bat and gestured to the door with it saying, "Get the fuck out, leave him alone, come here again and I'll call the police." Intimidated, they left, but not before Jack said, "See you tomorrow," in a threatening way. I was sitting on the ground, cowering and panicking as I cried silently. For God's sake. I'm sorry, man. I get really annoyed. I don't know. Dallas gave me a drink and some crisps and called my dad. I stayed there for an hour until my dad picked me up, even though it would go into the closing hours. He explained to my dad as to why I never talked to him about the whole situation, but leaving out what my stepmom had told me. I at the time didn't want to cause any friction between them as it would just lead to more problems at home. From the months leading, I would hide during lunch in different locations, not being social with anybody as they would find me in groups of people. One day I was hiding near a passageway and they found me and cornered me. Two grabbed me and Jack used me as a punching bag. This was when I finally snapped. Hooray! Let me guess. You snap, you retaliate, and the bullying stops. Let me guess. I snapped to the point where even now, I don't know what I did. When my senses came back, I was being hounded by a teacher and I saw the three of them whining in pain, bloodied and bruised as I stood over them. They told the principal that I had found them and attacked them. I told them my story, but 3 versus 1 story. I lost and got suspended whilst they got detention. Good! Why you want to be in that school for anyway? Good. Suspension. Fine. Fine. You get a few days off school. They get detention, you get to go home. Dude, win. My dad picked me up in his BDU uniform on his bike. He didn't take me home though, and took me to a hall. I asked him where we were going and what we were doing here, and he told me, "If you're gonna fight, you may as well learn how to do it properly." Yes! Yes! This is the best story ever! This is awesome! I love this! He took me to a karate dojo to learn self-defense. Chad Dad. Yes. Absolutely. This is how you handle your child getting involved in fights in school. Right? You teach them what it's like to be smacked in the face. Not by you, but by other people trained to do so. This is what you do. You like fighting so much? Fine. You're doing boxing, you're doing this or you're doing that. We'll teach you some discipline. Right? You're doing a martial arts, you can learn discipline. This is where I first met my friend Richard. Richard was my age and he would pair up with me often. During the drink break during karate, we discussed our interests and 40k popped up and he told me he played Eldar. I told him I played Necrons and we organised a play at the shop that weekend. He was the first positive thing to happen to me since I started high school, and at this point it would have been 7 to 8 months in. Dude, I told you. What did I say? Right? What did I say? What did I say? Man. Where did I get up to last night? Because I don't remember punching the air in bed when I was reading these. Right. I think I got exacerbated by that. I think it was the talk with your mother-in-law, not mother-in-law, stepmom. Yeah, that's it. That page 3. Yeah, the talk with your stepmom was where I got up to last night. I knew there was nothing triggering in it because that was pretty much the worst things that were happening so far. But anyway. Okay. He and I always paired up during sparring, and we got so good at reading each other's moves, we got to a point where we would punch and block almost instantly, so fast that we couldn't land a scoring hit on each other. We both remember and still talk about a round that went on for ages, and the senseis would take bets on who would land a strike first. We tied that time as we both mirrored each other with a block and counter punch to each other's faces. We laugh about it still, and how awesome and fun it was as a whole. The Bullies tried their luck every so often, but I think after the beatdown they stayed far away. What a surprise! What a fucking surprise! Richard and I played 40k almost every weekend and karate every Wednesday night. At the end of the year, I had to move again. I was happy to get away from the trio, but sad I was moving away from a friend. We added each other on Facebook and Xbox Live to keep in touch. We still keep in touch, and as I got older, he and I both ended up living in Canberra, capital of Australia, and played more 40k games from then onwards. It's been 15 years, and to this day I still haven't ever had a victory in 40k against him. One day, Richard. One day. So, for the long story, but I hope... Dude, you asked me to call you Luke, and then you call yourself Richard. Don't dox yourself. Sorry for the long story, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope more stories that won't be this long... I have more stories that won't be as long as this if you wish. Yeah, sure, send them in. Thank you for everything you do. Look forward to hearing more. Cheers, Luke. Okay, so, again... I love it when a plan comes together, man. That's awesome. I literally said that earlier, and what happens? Bang, bang, bang. Like in swift order. Dude, if you're getting bullied in school, I'm telling you now, it's a hard thing to do, to break that barrier, but if you're getting bullied in school, retaliate. Give it them back. Give it them back. If you're getting a 7 out of 10 bullying, give them back a 10 out of 10 ass whooping. Give them it back. Bullies don't like being bullied. Right? They don't like the shoe being on the other foot. The minute you stand up for yourself, get in their face. Sometimes it doesn't even take getting physical. Just get in their face and dare them. Say, go on. I fucking dare you. I double dare. Go ahead. Go ahead. See what happens. Do you know what I mean? Just call them out. Right? And if you get an arse ribbon, fine. But they know they can't screw with you anymore. Right? If they've got a bloody nose, they're going to, oh, bloody hell, I don't want to do that again. Right? And that's if they're an adult. If they're a kid, dude, even better. Even better. Just hit them back, dude. Hit them back. The minute they get physical back. You take a hand, I'm going to take an arm. That's what you do. And they never come back again. They leave you the hell alone. You know? And also, your dad did the right thing. As soon as you start fighting in school, well, you're going to learn how to do it properly with discipline. And the first thing you learn in martial arts, most of them anyway, is not to do it to other people. It's how not to get into a fight. That's the whole point of martial arts, isn't fighting. It's bettering yourself. It's discipline and bettering yourself. That's what martial arts are about. The only people who say don't do martial arts, if you're getting picked on in school, are the idiots who don't know what martial arts actually are. They're there to breed discipline and strength of mind and to better yourself and to get rid of... Like, if you're boxing or doing some other martial art, right, everything goes out the window. You stop thinking about everything and all that matters is you and your opponent. It's kind of a similar thing to when you're painting models, right? You ever been in that process when you're painting models and you're so ingrained in the process, like you literally... can't be distracted. You know, all of your worries, everything goes out in your head as you focus on the details of your model. You're in this zen space and nothing can get in. That's the kind of thing martial arts does to you, but times 10. Right? Learn martial art. It's great for discipline. It's great for your mental health. It's great for your physical health. And after you've been punched in the face a few times, things in life in general stop scaring you so much. Especially bullies. Moving on. Greg again says, hello North, I hope you are doing well and that everything with your family progresses nicely. Yeah, everything's going well, thank you. My name is Greg and I worked for Games Workshop for a very short period in retail. My story is not very long, nor is it particularly earth-shattering. It does, though, revolve around one of the hallowed trainers that have become rather famous in the community for their ridiculous antics. Before I go any further, I'd like to say up front that things are going well in my life, so no worries there. I'm working in a publishing firm and making a pretty penny. I have a lovely house in the Cotswolds and have a wonderful family. On top of that, I get regular games in with my Bieltan Eldar and Black Templars, all with classic Goblin Green bases, because I'm weird like that. No mate, you're just my age, is what you are. You're in your 30s, probably. So anything that seems nasty or rather morbid about this tale is all well and good because we do have a happy ending here. I even met my now wife at my Games Workshop store, but I will get into that a bit later. Okay. I'd wanted to work for Games Workshop for a long time. I mean, what's not to love? You paint models, help our customers getting into the hobby, and generally have a jolly old time, right? I joined the fabled manager pipeline and was only a part of it for several weeks, before getting the call to come in and finish my training before getting my own store. Ooh. I was rather happy about that and meandered my way down to Nottingham on the train to meet my trainer, a great dude who we will call Chuck. Chuck was a jovial lad, in his 40s probably, with a beard. He looked kind of portly, but nothing out of the ordinary or overbeast. Overbeast? That's not a word, man. Overbeast? Oh, but nothing overbeast. Nothing obese, you mean? Yeah, overly obese. Right, okay. We actually got on quite well, and he showed me about the place where I met pretty much everybody there was to know at Lenton. Even the big bosses, which was cool. I'm not sure if this is normal, but I do remember you mentioning something similar happened to you, so maybe that is just what they do. Yeah, it did. It did. I got showed around Warhammer HQ by my trainer too. Pretty much met everybody, from Kevin Roundtree down. Anyway, on the day I was meant to open my store, I was very nervous. Like, really nervous. I didn't really sleep the night before, but got up out of bed, got a quick workout in, had some breakfast and coffee, and went off to get my train. I decided to get an earlier train rather than just wait for the one that would get me into the store slightly early, just to be sure. Okay, so you're not just getting the earlier train that would get you into work early, you're getting the one before that. Jeez, man, you are wanting to be there on time. We are on our way to the town that my Games Workshop is in when the train slowly grinds to a halt and sits there for 30 plus minutes. I start to panic, not really sure what to do. I text my trainer ahead and let him know what is happening, as he is waiting at the store for me. He texts back, "Sure, okay." For emphasis here, guys, that text read, "Sure," with a long ellipses of dots, "okay." Like he didn't believe me or something. Wow. Oh, this guy's okay. It's a bit off. I decided not to take it in a bad way. Maybe this is just how he was over text. Things can get lost in translation after all. Over the tannoy of the train carriage, we are told that somebody had taken their own life on the train tracks about half a mile down the track at a station, and we are being held for obvious reasons whilst clean-up operations are going on at the station in front of us. Wow. Wow. And that we may be here for some time. That rocks everybody on the train and sort of puts things into perspective for everybody. Getting to work on time sort of becomes secondary in terms of importance after all that. I let my trainer know and check online, and sure enough, the event is on in the local news, so at least I have proof. He sees my message, but doesn't text me back. Oh, this is going to get me annoyed, isn't it? This is going to get me annoyed. After another hour, we are on our way again, and our train goes straight through the station where the incident occurred. There are white tents around the place to hide the remains or whatever is going on from us as we pass through at full speed. Dude, can you imagine being one of the train drivers or people who have to clear that up? It's one part of this that I've never gotten. I am fully aware that maybe you're on drugs or maybe you're not thinking straight. But if you do something like this, why would you want to, like, scar other people around you? It's already an inherently selfish act to do. Like, can you imagine scarring a train driver for life? And the people who have to, like, come in and clear that up, can you imagine being that... No, come on. Come on. I've never understood that. It's one part of getting close to taking your own life that I've never understood. That kind of thing. You know, it's one thing to be in your own house. It's one thing to do... But, like, to do it in that way where you might ruin everybody else's lives on top of that. People you don't even know. Dude, come on. Nah. And that's before we get into all the people who are going to be late for work. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I know. Like, I can't know because I've never actually been there in the moment of actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? You're not thinking straight. But, like, just the logical part of my brain goes, wow, why did you do that in that way? Anyway. Okay. I get off the train and walk towards my store, a bit rocked by the morning's events to say the least, and about half an hour late for my training. The store is closed for today and tomorrow whilst I do this training, so it's not like we have customers waiting at least. When I get there, the door is locked, and I have to knock to be let in by a rather sour-faced trainer. Whew, what a morning, eh? I say, shaking my head in disbelief. Yeah, not a great start. He sighs. I agree with him. Only he then states, no, I mean, turning up late for work is not acceptable when we are missing business hours. We are behind schedule on training now, and I need to be somewhere else tomorrow after I'm done with you. I am a little taken aback. Yeah, no shit. Did you read the text I sent? I asked, honestly thinking that maybe he hadn't and I'd have to explain things from the start. Yes, he asked. So, the bit about the guy throwing himself on the tracks and holding up all the trains? Terrible for me to say, it that way I know, but that's what happened. You read that? Yes, and that is no excuse. What is he even talking about? Yes, and that is no excuse, he said. You could have gotten off the train, or should have gotten an earlier one, just in case a large delay like this was likely to happen. This is your first day. It is a big thing. Unquote. Dude, fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. At this point, I was just confused and getting kind of pissed. Unlike a lot of others who do this job, I know for a fact I do not need to work for Games Workshop. They aren't my heroes and never have been. The hobby is. Mate, I say, I literally started a 30-minute journey 2 hours before I was supposed to be at the store. If I got the train any earlier, I'd be getting up at 4 AM for a 9 AM start. That is not reasonable. I live 30 minutes away from the store and the front door. This stuff is just life. It just happens. It sucks it happened on my first day, but there it is. It's not my fault, unquote. Firstly, the trainer said, I'm not your mate, he said, literally doing the finger thing. Oh my god. Oh my god. Secondly, this attitude will not get you very far if you want to make a success out of this store. Customers will not put up with such tardiness, no matter its source. I'm gonna be honest, I'm walking out. I can't hack this. Nah, dude. I'm walking out. So yeah, this is how our relationship as trainer and trainee kind of ended. From here, he was a grade A prick to me whenever he had the chance. He'd call me at work to ask about my performance. He'd tell me I'd had complaints against me from regular customers. I didn't. I knew all of my regulars very well, and they would have bent over backwards for me as I treated them very well and never ever had an issue with any customer in the store. And he'd chew me out for my attitude, quote-unquote, at training sessions, when I literally was part of the wallpaper most of the time and was polite and professional as I could be throughout. He was obsessed with making my time there as short as possible because I didn't have the right stuff, quote-unquote, as he put it to me one morning in another enforced training session. When my 3-month probation period was up, the profits of the store were up, our review score on Facebook and Google had jumped from 3 out of 5 stars to 4.9 out of 5 stars, and we had a growing community of dedicated hobbyists and newcomers. My KPIs, my key performance indicators, were also more than solid. But no, he told me he was extending my probation. Of course he did. Of course he did. Yeah. It's not about how well you're doing your job, mate. He doesn't like you. It just is what it is. You had the gall to stand up to him. He was having a bad morning, he wanted to bully you for a bit, and you wouldn't take it. So now you need to leave. Now you're no longer welcome to work for Games Workshop. I told him to shove the probation up his arse, and that I'd actually had an offer to work at a friend's publishing firm that I'd been sitting on, trying to decide what to do. I told him I loved the hobby, loved the store, and that he and his ilk at head office had made me feel completely unwelcome and unwanted, and that I was an adult and refused to work with man-children. I told him, and I quote, please quote this, by the way, okay, I will, and I quote, "You lot manage one of the biggest companies in the UK, but from the evidence that I've seen, you couldn't run a fucking co-op store," unquote. Wow. That's a burn. He asked me to hand over my keys. I got my P45 a week later after being banned from the store. Yes, banned for life. This is my hobby nightmare. It is sweet catharsis. Thanks, North. Greg. Oh my god. Oh my god. Was that yeah, that's got to be one of the worst ones we've had. That's probably the worst trainer we've had. You've had a few bad trainers on this channel. I'd say this is the worst. This is the worst, because this is unprovoked. Really unprovoked and really unnecessary. Do you know what I'm saying? Really unprovoked, not necessary. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage human being. Yeah, that really sucks. Not gonna lie, that really sucks. Anyway, I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'll be on with our friend Outer Circle tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.